the older generations just do not have a realistic view of exactly what we're dealing with. They grew up in a time period where you could go to work, you could like work a 9 to 5 and only that 9 to 5, and over time you'll be able to save up enough to buy a home. That's not the standard anymore.
The landscape for housing, both renting and buying, looks very different for young people today. Thanks to soaring prices and high interest rates, older generations, including baby boomers and Gen Xers, still make up the majority share of home buyers.
The barrier to entry to buy a home is much higher. You have to have a bigger down payment because the median value of a home is over $400,000, right? At the same time, borrowing costs are higher. They're at 7%. And so taken all together, you just need to save a lot more and a lot longer to be able to buy, a starter home.
For renters, it's also troubling. Rents nationwide climbed 30% from 2019 to 2023, while wages across the country were only up 20%.
Housing costs are just taking up that much more of their paycheck.
The rent goes up every year, the wages do not. Depending on the month, it can be upwards of like 50% of my income.
Between housing being so expensive and income not keeping up with inflation, the debt crisis for younger generations has only intensified.
One of the biggest debt burdens that they'll take on, and one of the first debts most Americans take on.
More than ever before, the very thing young adults are told to do to secure their future is one of the biggest reasons that the future is increasingly in doubt.
We're seeing college enrollment levels drop, or we're seeing that some students are trying to be smarter about, how they're going to college. Some are living at home, some are foregoing college altogether.
Let's look at the average cost of public universities since 1970, when a year's tuition cost around $1,300. In 2020, public university tuition was over $21,000 yearly. Of course, that's 50 years worth of inflation, but when we adjust for said inflation, the cost to attend public university in 1970 was only around $10,000, less than half of today's cost. When we look at the cost of private universities adjusted for inflation, it's a huge jump too, to more than $52,000 compared to less than $21,000 in 1970.
Those really high student debt level burdens are not common in other countries.